The first thing she said after the confession was my name. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a whisper from somewhere behind me while I stood frozen in the kitchen, staring at the cracked edge of a coffee mug in my hand. Daniel, I didn't turn around, because 5 seconds earlier, my wife had looked me dead in the eyes and said, "I'm in love with someone else." And now she was chasing me through the house, screaming that she didn't mean it. Funny how truth always arrives by accident. Usually during anger, usually when people forget to lie carefully. I walked out of the kitchen slowly, calmly, the way surgeons probably walk after telling families the patient didn't survive. Behind me, I heard bare feet slapping against hardwood. "Please stop walking away from me." I kept moving. The hallway suddenly felt too narrow, too warm. Every photograph on the wall looked fake now. Vacation smiles. Christmas mornings. Anniversary dinners where she kissed. Me while texting another man under the table. My chest felt hollow. Not broken.
And there are
Worse,
people here
precise. I was
who are
angry, she
disgraceful.
yelled. I just
They
needed to
are
hurt you.
ungrateful
That was the
wretches
mistake.
for
Not the
refusing to
confession.
take the backseat.
The explanation,
And
because
I
people
believe
say
these
cruel
people
things in
should be
arguments all the
punished.
time. But they don't invent specific truths under
They
pressure.
should not be allowed
I
on
reached the
public
bedroom doorway
transport.
and finally looked
They
at
should not
her.
be allowed to go
Her
to
face was
schools.
pale, eyes wet, breathing hard, terrified. Not because she'd betrayed me, because she realized
What
I
do you
believed
think
her.
we should do
And the
with people
terrifying
who
part,
refuse
I
to
suddenly
take
did
the
too.
backseat? You do.
3 months earlier,
What
I
do you think
noticed
we
the
should do with
silence
them?
first. Not distance. Silence. The kind that enters a marriage slowly. Like carbon monoxide. Invisible until your brain starts shutting down. She stopped arguing about small things. Stopped asking where I was. Stopped touching me absent-mindedly in passing. A woman emotionally invested still reacts. A detached woman becomes careful. Organized. Polite. That frightened me more than cruelty ever could. Then came the routines. Her phone started facing downward. She began showering immediately after work. New perfume. Expensive lingerie she never wore for me. Random smiles while staring at notifications she wouldn't explain. I watched everything. Quietly. That's the thing about betrayal. People think the pain comes from discovering it. It doesn't. The pain comes from becoming an observer in your own life. I started waking up at 2 a.m. just to study her sleeping face. Trying to figure out when she became someone else. Trying to figure out whether she ever really loved me at all. One night she left her laptop open. An accident. Or maybe exhaustion makes liars sloppy. I sat in the dark living room staring at the screen, while rain hit the windows softly behind me. There weren't messages. Not at first. Just a hotel confirmation email. 2 guests. 1 king bed. 3 months earlier. During the week, she told me her mother was sick. I remember reading it 3 times. Not because I didn't understand. Because I did. My body stayed perfectly still. But inside me, something old and human began bleeding to death. Still, I said nothing. That surprised even me. I became patient after that. Dangerously patient. I copied phone records from our account. Saved screenshots. Tracked expenses. Tiny things began connecting themselves like veins under skin. Lunches that lasted 4 hours. Calls deleted from logs. A second email account. I never confronted her. Not once. Instead, I watched her become more confident. That's the strange thing about deception. Once liars feel safe, they relax into honesty without realizing it. She started humming again. Started wearing lipstick to grocery stores. Started criticizing me more openly. Like she needed me smaller to justify what she'd done. One evening, I followed her. I told myself I wouldn't. But I did. She parked outside a small house across town. Blue shutters. White porch light. Ordinary. That almost made it worse. I watched her walk to the front door like she belonged there. And then he opened it. Older than me. Gray at the temples. Wedding ring still on his hand. Interesting. A man cheating on his wife with mine. 2 collapsing marriages balancing each other like rotten scaffolding. She kissed him before entering. Casual. Experienced. No hesitation. That was the moment I stopped feeling jealous. Jealousy requires competition. This wasn't competition anymore. It was anatomy. A complete dissection of who she truly was. I drove home in silence and sat in the garage for nearly an hour with the engine off. Not crying. Just thinking. Carefully. Coldly. Because once the illusion dies, emotion becomes inefficient. And efficiency was all I had left. The evidence arrived on a Thursday. A printed packet. Neat, organized final. Phone records. Photos, bank transfers, hotel receipts, even recordings. I placed everything on the dining room table before she got home from work. Then I cooked dinner. Pasta! Her favorite. By the time she walked in, I was pouring wine. For one terrible second, she smiled at me. A genuine smile. That almost destroyed me more than the affair itself. You cooked? I nodded toward the table. Sit. She noticed the folder halfway through, pulling out her chair. I watched the color drain from her face in real time. Human panic is fascinating when you remove yourself emotionally from it. Her fingers trembled opening the first page. Then the second. Then the photographs? No. A whisper. Tiny, broken. I ate quietly while she collapsed inward across from me. I can explain. You already did, I said calmly. Tonight in the kitchen. Tears rolled down her face instantly. It wasn't supposed to happen. That sentence. Every cheating person on earth says some version of it. As if betrayal is weather. As if they slipped and landed repeatedly on someone else's body. I slid one final photograph toward her. Her lover kissing another woman outside the same house. Different date. Different victim. Her breathing stopped for a moment. He told you he was leaving his wife, I said. Silence, then realization. Beautiful, devastating realization. You were never special to him. She looked physically ill. Good. Truth should feel physical. The next morning, I executed the only revenge that mattered. Exposure. Not rage. Not violence. Precision. I sent copies of everything to his wife. Every message. Every receipt. Every photograph. Then I forwarded the same folder to my attorney. By noon, our accounts were frozen. By evening, I was gone. But before leaving, I did one final thing. I removed every photograph of us from the house. Every anniversary picture. Every framed memory. Gone. Not smashed. Not damaged. Just erased. When she came home, the walls were empty. That was intentional. I wanted her to understand exactly what she'd done. Not destroyed a marriage. Erased a history. She called me 31 times that night. I answered once. Her voice cracked immediately. Please don't do this. I looked around the quiet apartment I'd rented that afternoon. Cold walls. One suitcase. Absolute peace. You already did, I told her. Then I hung up. Weeks later, people kept asking if I hated her. I didn't. Hatred requires emotional investment. What I felt was much cleaner than hate. Clarity. She thought betrayal would give her freedom. Instead, it revealed her. And once someone reveals themselves completely, you can never unknow it. Sometimes I still remember her chasing me through the house that night. Crying. Begging. Saying she didn't mean it. But she did. That's the tragedy of truth. It only needs one unguarded second to escape. And once it does, nothing survives it.